Hi everyone, it's Ronnie Eriksson here again, and we're at the New Nordic Wave of Change podcast. I think we're at episode 7 or 8 for the moment, and still I haven't figured out how to do these intros in an interesting way, but I think today is going to be interesting despite of that. Today here at the studio, I have an amazing guest, Anna Kukkohovi. Hi Anna.
Nice to meet you, good to be here.
Amazing to have you here. And for those who are not familiar with the name Anna Kukkohovi, Anna Kukkohovi is an ex-model, also an art director at many of the well-known marketing agencies here, and nowadays also a speaker and entrepreneur. But that doesn't actually tell us what the story is and how the story from being art to directing art to creating art has started. So could you, Anna, tell us where are you from and how did your Nordic story start?
Well, I'm from the west coast of Finland, Vaasa, and when I was growing up in Vaasa in 80s and stuff, so all the influences came from basically from Sweden. So Helsinki was kind of like a little bit lame. All my friends moved to Stockholm, and but the influence was really strong. We got all the clothing things and all the fashion and all the stuff that maybe other things didn't have at that time. Now the world is open; you can get anything from anywhere. But that kind of led me curious about the world, especially popular culture. So I was very into music, fashion at that point, like many teenagers, of course, and kids and stuff. But I remember when I was growing, I was very into fashion. I wanted to be a photographer, actually. And I understood the fantasy of fashion. I didn't ever take it seriously. I kind of felt it's like an imaginary, beautiful world. And as I became a model and, with all the criticism around, fashion industry, it was kind of like, oh yeah, okay, well, you can think it that way as well. Because I was thinking it's like a fantasy that you can create beautiful things and it's more like a mind game rather than, being skinny and stuff. But so I lived there and grew up there, and then I, had this urge to get somewhere else. So after finishing school, I went to London to be an au pair, just like randomly, never, took care of kids. I didn't even know how to take care of kids or cook or anything like that, or clean. So I just went there and did my thing and learned a lot, because you just need to throw yourself into situations. That's the best way to learn, I think. So I went there, got back. I had a boyfriend already, and that was the reason I came back. Otherwise, I might have stayed there. But then when I came back, I didn't move back to Vaasa anymore. I left to Helsinki, and when I was in Helsinki, I started modeling almost immediately. I was actually thinking, that would not be my career at all because I'm quite short. And I didn't think myself as a, of course, pretty nice girl, but, not like a model type, fascinating, beautiful, amazing kind of creature. So I kind of took me by surprise that, it took off so well. So it kind of like I started making my earnings and my living with modeling almost immediately. Because when I moved to Helsinki, I started working in a department store for a while. But because the money was better, of course, obviously in the modeling. So I transitioned pretty quickly. And usually when you start modeling, you need to go to Milan and that's the first place you need to go. And that was like kind of like a rookie test to go there. I was completely clueless with everything. But it was a beautiful decade, for the whole 90s. I was going around the world and living in different countries, experiencing a lot of like different cultures, ways to work. And maybe my self-esteem was a little bit low. I thought that, the pictures people were taking, I'm not good as a photographer. So I kind of buried that dream, which is not very wise. But I was at that point, I was thinking, maybe other people do it better. So I just continued to hustle with the modeling things, and was living in Tokyo, London, Milan, Germany, all kinds of different places. And of course, the trips take you all over the world. So it was a beautiful time to learn a lot of life. It's almost the best place to, if you have the mindset right, that you don't, maybe nowadays it's a little bit different, but at that time I was just learning. I was, looking at the creative teams, like, how they do advertising, how to do editorial, how, what kind of art directors there are, what kind of clients there are, how they behave in different cultures. So I learned a lot. And then I had my identity crisis maybe when I was like, 27. And I thought I really need to get, my dream of art director to flourish, because I was thinking about that earlier before my photography, because my dad was already in advertising agency. Oh. And he's a really good drawer. So I was kind of like into arts and, visual stuff even then. And then I got into school and settled down with less money and, became a student and learned my, profession. And also at that time in the business, that school was so valued. So the good agencies hired people straight from the school. So before I was even finished, I was hired to an agency. And I went there knowing nothing again, clueless as ever. And, it was so funny. I remember my first thing was like, I needed to check out some like, what is it in English? Like reproduction papers, if there's like typography or if the colors are right or, all this kind of like, if the settings, the pictures is okay. And I was like, what the hell I'm looking at? I don't know at all. But I was just playing. I was faking it. Like, yeah, this color is maybe a little bit too saturation down and this font is not good. Maybe we need to have a little bit smaller font or something like this. I was just bubbling around and, that's the way it started. You just fake it until you make it.
Oh, that's so true.
So that's the way I started with my advertising career. And I really enjoyed that. I was among the like-minded people. I get to use my earlier experiences because I remember first, of course, I was art director assistant. So when I got the possibility to be an art director, I knew exactly what to do because I've been seeing it so many years through modeling. So when I was doing like a TV script and was there with the crew, I knew exactly what's going to happen. Cut here, this. Pause here, and then I knew how the offline should look, and likewise my other colleagues at same age with the same experience, they were just like, what do we do next? What's happening? I'm like, you do this and you do this, and then check it out, and you look at the treatments, and it's all about from that experience. So that career was pretty long as well. I was in different agencies in Finland, and got to do beautiful campaigns, and advertising was so different at that, time. It was still, social media was coming and, digital media as well, but still it was kind of like old fashioned. When you think about early 2000, the money was still good. I mean, clients had a lot of money. It's totally different thing at the moment. So we were just like having wild parties, traveling around the globe and, going to Cannes festivals. And, it was, we had the credit cards and we could just use, for almost anything. And then the Lehman Brothers, the collapse, it was like 2009 maybe. And everything changed in that business because, the economy went down and, everything needed to disrupt and change, and you needed to find more cheaper ways to do things, which is very good, I think. So at that time, I started to do TV as well. I remember getting not an email, it was a Facebook actually message from a producer who asked me if I wanted to host Finnish Top Model. I was like, no way. I just did it already. I mean, that part of my life is, finished. I don't want to, go into that again. So I refused for 3 times because I was thinking, why? Why would I do that? Because with the publicity and everything. But we wouldn't be talking here if I didn't do this. But then eventually they kind of like made me do it, and convinced me it is a good choice. Actually, there was a really amazing colleague that said to me, because I was thinking maybe at that point that I want to do something more as well. I just have these kind of like weird urges inside of me. When I was, after my school, I had this urge to go somewhere. I always have this urge to do something more, try different things. So my colleague said to me, because I was, thinking, should I do the TV thing? It's like kind of lame. Maybe the publicity, my clients won't like me. I lose my credibility. All those kind of stupid fears that you run in your own head. And then he said to me, this was something, I remember the moment. He said to me that, well, Anne, think about where it takes you. Don't think about the actual thing. Think about where it might take you. And that was the thing. I was, oh, you're right. Exactly. That's the way I'm going to do it. So I used it as a tool. And then I started doing TV, and then I was doing simultaneously, I was working in an advertising agency. So I was working a lot. And I have a little kid. And I felt like, this is not a life I want to live, because I did like TV in the end. And, the other world that I was experiencing, it was like a TV production, entertainment business. So it was interesting in a way. For 2 years, maybe I managed to, juggle between the two things, because I was with Hassan Partners at the time, and they were really supportive. There was a great agency, great place to work. So they let me do, what I want to do. And but I ended up resigning and creating my own company. And at that point, it was only for entertainment and lectures and all these kind of like hustle businesses. And also, of course, I had a contract with the beauty company. So I knew that I had money in the company, so I wouldn't just fall flat somewhere, start from scratch. So I had like basic things coming in, but at the same time I was thinking, what should I really do? This is just like not maybe fulfilling anything. It's just like work, but because I remember people asking, what are you going to do then? What is your business? And I was just lying, I'm going to do this and that and that. I'm just creating different scenarios, what I will do. And I was just like talking to myself. And I think it's a really good way to develop yourself, to kind of like talk yourself into a situation that you need to do something. So when I was actually in an advertising agency, I told my colleagues, I want to do something about, I don't know what, I want to resign, but I don't know what to do. And then I was saying this so many times that, when it actually happened, I still didn't know, but people were thinking I knew what I was doing, but I didn't know. I was just jumping to a new situation again. And during the first years of my entrepreneurship, I was just doing TV and all these other different kind of opportunities that came up with that. And over time, I came up with the idea with the natural cosmetics company, skincare. And there was also a friend that I remember the moment very well. I was actually going to host an event somewhere. I was in my car. I was kind of frustrated. I didn't feel like doing it at that point. And then she said, ask me, well, what do you want to do then? And then I just came out of my mouth. I just want to create this eco-luxury beauty company. But that's impossible to do. And then she said, why it's impossible? And then that one question was like, well, why is impossible? I don't know. Maybe it's just my mindset that says it's impossible. So what happened, we ended up creating the company with her. And there, of course, there's other people involved as well. But of course, I started to looking for the team and looking for, how this could be happening, because I didn't have no experience whatsoever. And I made a lot of mistakes, but I knew what I wanted from the brand. So from the creative side, everything was perfect. So I knew what I wanted to have, what kind of brand I wanted to create. I knew what ingredients I wanted to use. I knew what story I want to tell. But I didn't know how to run business. So that was a big, big thing to learn during these years. And I'm still on that route. So let's see what will be the next one. But, I'm still, struggling with this one. And we've been having amazing opportunities and amazing disappointments because we are in a big world at the moment. It's not here in Finland, and it's not cozy, and it's not comfortable. It's very uncomfortable.
Exactly. Whoa, that's
a lot of information. Sorry.
No, but it's a great story, and I just waited it to continue even further because it's really pleasant to listen to you. But the maybe first touch point I got there is that you talked a lot about how you were doing work in a young age abroad, and as a Nordic person coming from Vaasa, which for those who don't know is on the west coast of Finland, about halfway through the country. Vaasa is a small place, a really Finnish-Swedish place, so they have this strong sense of Sweden there, as you mentioned already. When you went the first time to the UK and after that to, for example, Tokyo, how did you find strength in the Nordic background that you had?
At that point, maybe I didn't even realize it because, you just go, young, you just go to different places. But I think, especially with the modeling, is that we are pretty clear-headed and, common sense. We have common sense because we have the equality here. When you compare from the girls that come from Eastern Europe, maybe some of them are desperate. They need the money by any means. So our situation is pretty good. We are very in a good place to start doing different things because we are so equal and we've been, raised to treat other people with honesty and transparency. So seeing the world that is more kind of vicious maybe was an eye-opener. But I learned from that as well. Okay, this is how this works. Oh, I see. We are quite wholesome in the Nordics. So we are very honest, very genuine. We are very open and transparent. Maybe not open in that sense that we are bubbly like maybe me are, but I am. But in a way, we are in a square. We know what we're doing. We say what we are doing what we say about to do. We don't fool anybody that I'm going to do this and then we don't do that. But in the years working as a model, you can see different cultures, and maybe especially with the young girls, you can see that there's desperation, there's poverty, there's lack of education. There's American girls who are just looking in Milan, rich husbands, and I was like, are you serious? Why didn't you make your own money, bitch? You know what I mean? Why would she do that,
Exactly.
Especially when you're young, because you still have everything, I was thinking male and female are equal, but I still sense that, I was just telling about the Clubhouse experience this morning that I was listening this American chat that, where rich men talk about, how they want their wives to be at home. And the culture is still very different still. And it's a big country, of course. There's plenty of different kind of people. But I just wanted to jump in. I didn't, but I felt like, it would be so interesting because the cultural differences are so big. So those kind of things I learned from, the heritage of being from the North, and also our culture that is pure, honest, sometimes a little bit naive perhaps, because we have an agent in LA, and sometimes because people say, oh, fantastic, fabulous, amazing. And I always say, well, did she mean that? Or was it just like the American talk? So then she's laughing like, yeah, she meant it. Or maybe no, that was just talk. Forget about it. So I sometimes need the translator for the amazing, fantastic American talk, because that's the way they talk. And you thought, oh, wow, they like us. They like our brand. And then they just go away. So you need to read in between the lines. Are they really interested or not? And that's kind of hard for us because we are really honest and straightforward in a way.
We trust what people say, and we trust that it's true.
Yeah. You don't say, you don't bullshit people.
Exactly. Well, that's also what I like about Finland. It's like straightforward, and you can give your money to someone or your neighbor or someone. You can trust that it's actually back there when you come back from wherever you go.
Exactly.
You touched a bit like the subject of equality. So something we tend to say in Finland that we are really good at. Of course, we have still our problems, but I think like there is more of the equal chance to both of the different sexes that we have around us, or three at least nowadays. All of them. Yeah. Really good. And maybe like the interesting part is there in equality is kind of like this equal chance for everyone to be whoever they are, but then also to be able to do choices throughout their career whenever they want to. And you kind of like came back and did this from the modeling career to starting to study again. Where did you actually study?
There's no English word for that. Mainosgraafikkoulu.
Mainosgraafikkoulu. Okay. So
It was very hard to get in.
Okay.
And we have the same teachers that now in Aalto has. So, but it was more focused maybe on marketing. That at that time, Taik was. Okay. So the visual arts school, what it is at the moment. I don't know the English name for that. School for Visual Arts, I think. Yeah. Okay. So it was more like in Sweden, they had already this like graphic designer school that is more targeted, for advertising and marketing type. So that's where I studied and got my degree.
Was it hard to make that choice at that age to go back to school, to kind of like stop the momentum you had for a moment, to sit down and then pivot completely to something new?
It's never been difficult for me. Of course, I missed the money, to be honest. But I knew that I needed to do it because I wanted to, I wanted to evolve as a person and do different things. You cannot get stuck in something. You need to go, forward. And even now, I'm thinking, what's the next thing?
Exactly.
So you need to evolve all the time.
Exactly. Was it the kind of like Nordic possibilities and Nordic support or Finnish support that made it possible for you to take that leap? Because I know it for many people abroad especially, they feel that when they have started their first job and made that first like income stream, they are stuck and they don't have the chance to pivot or do something else, because if they do, they maybe lose their apartment in the worst case scenario.
I think it's something to do with the personality as well. Somebody likes it safe. And I don't like it safe. So if you like it safe, it's of course a really good thing. And I really admire people who, do that as well, because, the choices I've made are very risky and they put you under a lot of pressure because you don't know what's going to happen. So you just kind of like, okay, fine, I'm just having this, but I'm just giving it out now. I'm just going to run and jump in the other one. So it's not very maybe Scandinavian or very Nordic. We are more maybe on the safe side as a culture, I would say. I don't know.
Yeah.
How do you feel?
Yeah, I think the Nordics have this amazing kind of like maybe a parachute that always saves you in the end if everything goes really goes south.
Yeah,
and I think
that's true.
Yeah, and that gives the kind of like allowance for those who are risky to actually take those risks without having to be that afraid that abroad you maybe have to be.
Yeah.
The marketing world is really well known for all of these different terms and names for the roles. And you mentioned that you started out as an art director. So what does art director actually do?
Well, we have, it's like a creative team with the copywriter. So we created campaigns. Like we can just have like print, TV, other kind of like communication, especially towards the end, it was very multi-channel communication things. So I was just basically responsible of the visual side of it. But as we were creating as we were creatives, we did everything together. So it didn't matter if I came up with the punchline or with the text or whatever, and the copywriter came up with the visual idea or something like that. But I'm the responsible of hiring the team, who's shooting the things, and who's director, who's the PhD and director of photography. What is it? But anyway, when we shoot films, so I usually do those choices through the reels and treatments, because you have your idea and then you give it to a director, for example, and then they give you a treatment. But in America, that's not happening, because I remember we have an American director, and I was just waiting for the treatment. I mean, how he sees the thing, and he was just like, "You wrote it already. What should I do?" I'm like, "I want to have your opinion on it. How would you, kind of tweak it?" So that's something that they don't do there. Usually, for example, the people who edit are more famous than the directors. So the one who makes the editing is the magic maker, because when you have a long clip, for example, when you think about movies, for example, it's all about editing. What kind of story you can create from the same material. You can create like 10 different stories with the same people.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So before we jump into kind of like this entrepreneurial journey that you embarked, I wanted to look a bit on the relation between modeling and entrepreneurship. Because if you think about it, like what is really popular nowadays is influencing and influencers. And in a sense, what the influencers tend not to understand normally is that they are the startup product in a sense. They are the one thing that you need to grow either with a team, or then you need to do all of those different things alone, such as editing of your videos or photos or whatever you do to get the content out there. And I think modeling has been kind of like the starting point maybe of this influencing and influencers. And one of the concepts that we have actually together with Norders and Peter Westerbacka and then Joani Loukama built now is this Influencers Academy, where we aim to teach these different skills to the young influencers around the world. But what was your relation and experience between this kind of like modeling and entrepreneurship? What was it you like kind of like managing yourself as the own product, or was there people around doing that?
Oh, as a model? Because during that time, we still didn't have social media. So it was still a little bit more anonymous. So thank God we didn't have that. It would have been, I don't know, like afterwards to think. So it was more being cool maybe than creating your own brand. Even Kate Moss gave her first interviews like just recent years. So she wanted to keep that facade, kind of like, just, I don't want to be bubbling out my private life and about creating a brand of myself. The brand was to be cool and, kind of like keep the private stuff to herself. So, but of course, in a way, that happens automatically, that you become some kind of a brand and you have some certain features that clients like, and that was maybe the base, of course, who I am today, and what those experiences taught me and maybe mold me as well. So yeah, of course, because it's like the grandmother of the social media influencers, the 90s models, for example. So, but still, I think some models still keep it quite clean and cool. So it's not like they're always influencers at the same time. And nowadays in campaigns, you see more influencers than actually models.
Yeah, well,
so it's like it's like getting a little bit like mixed up, who's who. Of course, like catwalk models do the catwalk thing, and they might not even care about social media so much. So it's still like two different. It's still a job. It's still a profession to be a model, especially if you are, professional model. So you can make a choice at the moment. What kind of brand you want to create. If you want to stay cool and keep your own stuff private, then it's okay. And then other people become like style ambassadors, and they are wanted in different TV formats, and suddenly they become hosts, and
Yeah.
It's up to the person.
Yeah. So, what is the Anna Kukkohovi brand like? Well, how would you describe your own brand that you built here during the years?
Well, it's kind of hard. I haven't, verbalized that ever. It depends who you ask, I guess. But in Finnish market, perhaps it's easier to explain. I've been in media so long, so I feel like, I'm pretty open book at the moment. There's not much that, of course, my private life is my private life, but, people know what I've been doing, and I'm pretty open and bubbly and transparent as well. So I think a little bit maybe the how's the brand? Not moody, not like secret, kind of like mysterious, more like open and happy and talking about the health, beauty, maybe wholesome a little bit. I remember this one guy saying to me, he was American, I was in Milan, and I didn't maybe get all the drugs and all those things. And he said to me, Anna, you're so wholesome. And I needed to look it from a dictionary. And you don't even have the Finnish translation for that, really.
No, I don't think so.
So that means kind of like...
I think from meditation circles, I've learned that wholesome thing, like that you're subtle and okay with the things how they are, and that you're kind of accepting in a sense.
Yeah.
Like you're just like wholesome with the world, or okay with the world as it is, and with the people around you.
Yeah, well, that's a good way to put it. So I would say that's my vibe.
Yeah, and I think I get that energy from you. And why I was asking is because I was reading through all of these different articles and different information that I was finding about you on the internet.
But now it's twisted.
It's twisted, but I think in a sense like the real Anna is visible there, like in many ways all the time. And I think like it's this kind of like urgency of sensitivity and maybe self-confidence that are the two kind of like key elements that you can see about Anna even before you kind of like start looking at what the things you're talking about. And then it comes back to these two things. And why do you think like sensitivity is an important thing? You talk about it as a important part in business life, for example.
Yeah, I think it's a superpower, but you need to, of course, be the rider of it, because sensitivity is, of course, it makes you vulnerable, and but in a business sense, you sense so well what you should do and what you shouldn't do. It's like intuition, very, very strong intuition. That's the urge I was telling earlier. I remember this because I remember these moments as a picture, when I was thinking I need to change. So I have these like visible moments that, I've been maybe building up inside, and that's the sensitivity for your own inner world. And it's also kind of heavy to have the sensitivity, because I can see people that don't have that, and they push things through in a very strong force that might not be good for everybody, but those people might be leaders because they believe in, let's say Trump, they believe in their words so clearly. They don't see they don't see the perspectives of the different opinions and the wholesomeness of it all.
Exactly.
They just believe in the one thing. And their thing, they believe exactly what they're saying. So whatever perhaps he was saying, I think he honestly believed everything he said. And that was true to him. But as a sensitive person, you kind of see all the different nuances and body language and the way people look at you and where your eyes go. And it's subtle little things that you notice. But it also has this kind of heavy side as well, because when you realize something is not, when you sense something is not going okay, it's very heavy feeling inside. Because let's say you have a project that you are running in full force, but you realize deep inside there's something wrong in it. And you still push it because you want it to go through, but deep down that it will not. And that's really tearing you apart inside. And as I getting older, I think I become more true to that feeling. I still struggle with it, but because there's no way out, you end up in that situation anyway. You can't fool anybody. Even though you would push something through, it doesn't become good if you have this tearing feeling inside of it. So that's very good and bad thing in business, because you need to have certain strength and certain drive to do things regardless. If you take everything into consideration, you may lose it. So you need to juggle between those feelings. But I think it's a very good tool to sit back and listen to yourself, especially with the meditation, for example, because when you get very hyped up with things, as I tend to do, because I'm sensitive, so I get overwhelmed easily. So then I make really bad choices. When I'm overwhelmed, I do really bad choices. And then I regret them. Why did I say yes to this? And why did I do this? Why did I say yes? Because I know that it will not work. But it's a situation that you should take away yourself in the noise, from the noise, and be in a quiet place to hear yourself. And then, okay, this is how it's. Let's say there's something personal happening in my life at the moment, and it's uncomfortable. But I decided to, write about it and, say it out loud to myself. And I decided I need to do certain things that for me seem selfish, because I'm a giver. But sometimes you need to take something for yourself to be able to even be a good person to other people. If you don't take care of yourself, you're not good to other people, or you're not a good business partner, you're not good at anything. So taking those moments to yourself, being selfish is a wrong word, but sometimes you feel like I need to take care of this, I need to be good for this person, and I can't take time for myself, or to say that I'm not going to be involved, I'm going to be gone from this one, I'm not going to do it, you do it. That's hard for me, but you need to do it, otherwise you will not survive. You just exhaust yourself.
Yeah, but I think the world changed a bit when we got the new word in the dictionary, like the FOMO, so the fear of missing out. I think that's something many of us are facing on a daily basis, and then it stresses us out and makes us bad. But I think this whole sensitivity subject is also really interesting, because we live in a world that is changing constantly, and it's changing more towards a model where you don't separate that much work and free time anymore. And that is a risk, but it's also, I think, a beautiful opportunity, because most of the people in the world are now working 8 hours because they have to do it. It's like a must do, and you must go there to work and wake up every morning and then stay there the day, and then you get away and to live your life in a sense.
Yeah, that's true.
It's not it's not okay, but it could be okay if you could be sensitive and yourself about it. So I think this whole sensitivity subject kind of allows people, as maybe you have realized that, and your story tells, to be yourself wherever you are, and that's beautiful.
Yeah, but also as you said, because there's so many messages, there's so many distractions, there's so much happening all the time, you can get lost in that. So that's why it's so important to take those moments somewhere to ask yourself how I'm thinking, how I'm feeling, how, am I okay? So that is something that I think everybody should learn, especially with my kid, for example. I can sense that he's overwhelmed with the messages that he gets from all over the world. I mean, from social media, from the pressure, from the talks and YouTube, everywhere. So it's very confusing. We all have different challenges, but you need to heal yourself at the same time and take care of yourself, and maybe exclude something sometimes.
Exactly.
That doesn't distract your atmosphere or your, whatever this is.
Yeah. And you've been doing this already, or giving back a bit of your thoughts and thinking through the Dream platform. So you did a course there about exactly sensitivity and self-confidence, right?
Yeah.
What would you say that are your main 3 takeaways from that course? What did you want to deliver to people? What was the kind of like saying?
Well, first of all, I think, confidence and sensitivity are kind of like paradoxes in a way. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to talk about that exactly, because self-confidence a little bit maybe is seen as a hard value, even though it's not. It's more about accepting who you are and also being vulnerable, because that makes you so much more stronger and that gives you confidence. So being sensitive gives you confidence in that sense, because then you don't have nothing to hide. Because when you're open and when you have been through your demons in a way, and you're okay that I have these demons, everybody has them, and I'm still okay, I'm still worthy. So I think that is as simply as it's simply that you can be because nobody's ready, nobody's like fully lightened, or you're always on a journey. So respecting that you are on a journey all the time is part of the sensitivity, but it also gives you confidence to realize you are not ready ever.
Oh, that's so nice. I have watched the course. I liked it a lot. And I hope many others, their listeners do. Unfortunately, it's now only in Finnish, but maybe somewhere in the future also in English.
Yeah.
And all of these discussions we've been having here have taken us maybe to where you are today. Today, you're an entrepreneur. You're running your own beauty company, and a beauty company from the Nordics to the world. Could you tell us a bit like what your startup is about, what your startup is called, and how has the journey been with the startup?
Well, it's been one hell of a journey. Sorry. So it's called Supermood, and we create beauty products. We were basically one of the first ones in the first wave to bring the natural ingredients to the beauty in Finnish beauty industry, also with supplements and a little bit like therapeutic products. So instead of thinking like, you have this kind of skin type, or, you need to, before and after pictures, more about the whole holistic well-being approach to the beauty, because basically we all know, as this whole discussion proves it, if you don't feel okay, it's impossible to, you can see it on your face. So you need to respect yourself, and you have these days when you need some boost for yourself, and then there's a line for that. And then there's, you need to calm down, you need to unwind, you need to let the other world, take a little bit distance of the world. And that's other line called beauty sleep is for that. And then we have, when you are stressed, we have something that is called Youth Glow, and then we have always supplements and that complement the skincare at the same time. Sorry, I've been talking about this so much. I try to make it tiny and teeny, explain what it is. But basically, holistic approach to beauty with the topical beauty products and supplements that complement each mood in a way, and you can mix and match them because we all have different kind of things, and I'd like to do more products and stuff because we have like beauty chocolate for each line. Because chocolate is a pleasure, and with cold pressed chocolate with infused with something, we had collagen, we had marshmallow root for the unwinding, and also for the stress situations you have this glutathione that also makes your cells to revive. So, we try to think of different things. But yeah, we started with that, and we actually were super successful because we managed to create the product that is working, and also the visuality that, we were featured in Cool Hunting page before we actually got the product. We just had the 3D pictures, and I was like, ooh, I hope it looks like that. So it started off really well, but the biggest mistake was that we didn't have the financial, knowledge to manage the business. It takes so much money because we were offered to go to Sephora, Selfridges, all those places, but it takes a lot of money to go there.
Exactly.
So we were just self-funded, like a little bit naive, idealistic indie beauty brand that maybe now realizes it's all about the business still. You need to have the beautiful story, of course, that we have, but we've been through so many ups and downs, during these years that now I know what I would have done in the beginning differently. But I needed to take these hits and, learn those lessons to be where I am at the moment. And when you have a lot of setbacks, you of course feel like, how can I, get myself up and, flourishing again? And it is hard. It's really hard. But then, of course, those glorious moments are amazing as well to, realize that, for example, Procter & Gamble came to visit us to Finland and we were just like, oh, they wanted to come to our headquarters, which meant our sofa. So maybe we need to book a hotel room or something like that. And, all these kind of fun things happened, but we ended up targeting on US market because we had the agent there. And it's very difficult market. And we got into really good places, but the problem was basically all the time the money for marketing. It takes so much money because you need to be in newsletters, all the campaigns and all these kind of things. And we were still, we were looking for investor, but we didn't get that. We are still so small and, we got those big deals, but we needed to fund the production. So that was all the time the same story, happened over and over again. So we get a good client, but we don't have the resources to fund the production. And that was the, most disappointing part because you have the client, but you don't have the product to sell them because we need to have the money for that. So what I would do if I would redo this whole thing, I would absolutely have finance support for everything that we do and very good CFO to do that. So we were both two creatives, me and my ex, and of course we had help, but still we didn't realize how much it is all about contracts, laws, taxes. In different cultures, there's different ways to run the business, and when we started with the US markets, it's a certain way to do things. And then when you do something in Europe, it's a different way to do things. And now we are expanding to Russia and it's again a different market. And of course, Asia will be a different market.
Exactly.
So you need to have a lot of knowledge in the team.
Yeah. So a lot of up and downs, a lot of learnings, and now 2021, you have a new ground and new expansion ongoing. Where do we see Anna Kukkohovi and Supermood in the future?
Well, I hope because now we just got the big Russian deal that saves us basically. Then we get the money. It's like you need to have money to make money. It sounds very harsh, but that's the way it is. It doesn't happen because you need to have the engine running at the same time. You need to do the production, you need to do testers, you need to do the marketing, and it takes so much money. But when you get a big deal, you can fund that and start creating the circle that eventually grows into a really good business. And now we are in this place that it's possible. Finally, it took so many years, lots of rehearsal, lots of we got this $1 million, for example, $1 million purchase order, but we didn't have time to fund it. So now we have it finally. We got it funded, and I hope the story will end up beautifully. Of course, at this moment, I'm regaining the strength to get excited and do things, with the new team. But eventually, I of course hope that it will evolve into the beautiful idea that I once had. The baby it's been a very cranky baby. So I hope she will be growing healthy, beautiful, strong brand, and also that I could a little bit ease down with the hustle that I'm doing, because I'm doing a lot of different things at the moment. So to be able to concentrate is also very important, because as you need to pay the bills, and you do so many multiple different things, it kind of like distracts. You need to be able to concentrate. So that's basically the number one thing, to be able to concentrate to do the business. And then it has the chances to evolve into beautiful, functioning, healthy business. And this is where we are on the edge at the moment for that.
It's a pleasure listening to you, a pleasure listening to all of the journeys and all of these different learnings that you have been doing during your career. Unfortunately, we start to run out of time. An hour went by pretty fast.
It was pretty fast, yeah.
But I think these discussions, there is a lot for us to continue. And you mentioned, for example, there in the start that you're active on Clubhouse, and we're also running this Nordic Breakfast Club there. So it would be a pleasure to invite you as well there and continue to go more in detail in these different subjects. But here in the end, I normally tend to ask that if people want to follow you on, how are they able to find you online? And is there any TV shows or something else where they can see you for the moment?
Oh, yeah. So we're super active in Instagram and other social media platforms. And I do have my own website as well. But I think Instagram is the easiest at the moment. And then, of course, Finnish Bake Off, Koko Suomi Leipo, and multiple other TV shows. So I think, in Finland, it's easy to follow me. But I think Instagram will be it's easiest for the international market.
Perfect. And then if someone wants to experience some wholesome beauty products for both their body and mind, where do they find that?
At the moment, in our own web store, multiple different places in Finland, in Macy's and Blue Mercury in America, and Zalando, Amazon Luxury Beauty UK, US, and now it's going to be Le Trois in Russia, and Nuka in India, and and of course some other places in Europe and Singapore as well. So we are quite spread. Even though we are small, but it's like the boutique places that we've been into. So I hope the Russian deal will make us a little bit more big and visible.
Awesome. So if you haven't met or seen Anna Kukkohovi before, soon you will, because of the huge global expansion ongoing.
Yeah, I hope so.
Perfect. Thank you so much for today's episode. It's been a pleasure having you here. I'm super excited to learn more and hear more, and your story is just amazing, and I think it embarks the Nordic values in many different ways in beautiful concepts. Do you have something you want to say here in the end?
Well, what I didn't mention is that that once you work internationally, and we have the agent in LA, it's really interesting. I just want to say to all the Nordic people that keep valuing those beautiful values that we have, because we do have different people for different purposes. Our agent is really super iron woman to do the business things. So the core values are really important, but you don't need to do everything yourself. Do what you're good at. I'm not good at selling. I'm good at creating. So somebody to sell, somebody to, take care of the finance, somebody for the logistics, somebody for, creativity. So to find the right people, that's my biggest thing at the moment.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Anne. Thank you for riding the Nordic wave of change together with us. And thank you for being a North Star and example for all of our young people who now are rising to take over the change.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.